Welcome to Relation Tales. Please like this video and subscribe Relation Tales. We're grateful for each and every one of you. Let us know where in the world you're tuning in from. We'd love to hear from you in the comments. Let's begin. People say you can feel the exact second your marriage shifts, like a door quietly closing somewhere inside your chest. For me, that moment hit on a random Tuesday evening, standing in my own kitchen, watching my wife laugh at a message I wasn't allowed to see. She tried to hide it, turned her screen, forced a smile that didn't reach her eyes. But it was already too late. My stomach had dropped before my mind could catch up. "Everything okay, Lauren?" I asked, wiping my hands on a dish towel. Her voice was light, too light. "It's just a group chat. The girls are planning next month's trip." But she didn't look at me when she said it. She kept stirring the pasta she'd already overcooked, as if movement could distract from the truth she didn't want to show me. That was the first red flag. The second came 2 days later, when she bought 3 new outfits she claimed were girls' night cute, but looked a little too intentionally flattering for a casual weekend with friends. The third came when I reached for her phone to hand it to her, and she snatched it so quickly you'd think I pulled the pin on a grenade. I didn't argue. I didn't yell. I simply nodded and stepped back, pretending it meant nothing. Pretending I didn't feel something cracking beneath my ribs. Because that's what loyal husbands do. They give the benefit of the doubt long after the doubt is deserved. Our life had been predictable for years. We both worked 9-to-5 jobs, meal prepped on Sundays, binge shows together at night. I made coffee every morning. She packed my lunch if she woke up early enough. We had desires, romantic, emotional, intimate, that had softened with routine. But I still reached for her hand every evening. I still kissed her forehead when she fell asleep on the couch. I thought that meant something. I thought we were solid. I thought the quiet parts of love still mattered. But the distance had crept in slowly, almost invisible at first. Late replies, shorter hugs, conversations replaced with scrolling, nights where she rolled to the far edge of the bed and claimed she was just tired. It wasn't until her upcoming girls' trip became the center of her world that I realized she wasn't tired. She was elsewhere, and I wasn't invited. The night before she left, I made us dinner, her favorite, blackened salmon with lemon butter. She barely touched it. Spent most of the night packing and repacking the same suitcase, humming with a kind of excited energy she hadn't shown around me in months. "Thomas," she said finally, zipping her luggage shut, "don't be weird while I'm gone, okay? It's just a chance for me to unplug with my girls. I need this." She didn't even wait for my reply. Didn't kiss me goodnight. Just climbed into bed and faced the wall. I stared at the ceiling long after she fell asleep, wondering when I became someone she needed space from. The next morning, her goodbye was quick, a rushed hug, a glance at her smartwatch, a promise to text when she landed. Then the door clicked shut, leaving the house colder than it had ever felt. For the first few hours, I distracted myself with routine. Made coffee, worked out, cleaned the garage, completed a spreadsheet for work. But her silence followed me everywhere. Each glance at my phone felt heavier. Each hour without a message felt sharper. By early evening, I called her, straight to voicemail. Again and again. By the second day, her phone wasn't just unavailable. It was off. That's when worry became something darker. Something that curled inside my chest like smoke. Something that whispered, "She's not where she said she'd be." Something that shook my hands every time I checked my phone. I told myself not to overthink it. I tried to focus on anything else: cooking, reading, going for a run, visiting my brother, finishing overdue tasks. But even in the middle of conversations, my attention slipped. Even in the shower, I felt my chest tighten. Even at night, I reached out instinctively on the bed and felt the cold, empty space where she used to sleep. On the 4th day, everything changed. I was sitting on the couch, scrolling through social media to distract myself, when I saw her name, tagged in a stranger's blurry photo. A rooftop bar, neon lights, a group posing together. My eyes froze on the 2 people standing too close in the background. Lauren, and a tall man with his hand placed too comfortably on her waist. I leaned forward, zoomed in. My heart didn't beat, it thudded. Because I recognized him. His name was Marcus Hayes. The same coworker she said was barely a friend. The same man she swore she didn't talk to outside of work. The same man I once caught staring at her like she was something he already owned. My fingers trembled. My jaw locked. Heat surged up the back of my neck. And for the first time in my marriage, I felt something far stronger than fear. I felt clarity. This wasn't a misunderstanding. This wasn't a forgotten phone charger. This wasn't girls' trip energy. This was betrayal, shameless, confident, practiced betrayal. And the moment I accepted that, something inside me hardened. I wasn't going to wait for her excuses. I wasn't going to cry, beg, or plead. I wasn't going to be the husband who swallowed humiliation quietly. No. If she could destroy our marriage in secret, I could destroy her fantasy just as silently. The first step was simple. Find his wife and tell her everything. I opened my laptop, pulled up her name, Rebecca Hayes, and whispered to myself, let's see how far their lies go. Finding Rebecca Hayes wasn't hard. People post more of their lives online than they realize. A family photo here, a recent event there, a workplace tag, threads that lead you straight to the truth if you're desperate enough to tug. And I was. By the time evening settled across my neighborhood, I had gathered everything. Screenshots, timestamps, the rooftop bar photos, the posts Lauren wasn't supposed to appear in. Evidence of a life she lived behind my back while I sat at home checking my phone like a fool. The moment I typed the first message to Rebecca, my fingertips hesitated above the keys. I wasn't doing this to hurt her. She was already hurting, even if she didn't know it yet. I was doing this because someone had done the same to me, and silence wasn't protection. It was poison. Hi, Rebecca. I'm not sure how to say this, but I think you deserve to see something. She responded within minutes. Is this about Marcus? Just reading her words made my chest tighten. So she had felt it too. That same quiet shift. That same invisible door closing. That same sinking suspicion that the person beside you wasn't really beside you anymore. I sent the photos. Not immediately. I took a deep breath, steadied my shaking hand, and made sure I wasn't acting out of pure rage. But the moment I hit send, a wave of cold, not relief, washed through me. 2 minutes. 5 minutes. 7 minutes. No reply. Then finally, can I come over? I think we need to talk face to face. Her voice message followed right after, soft but shaking. I don't want to be alone right now. I swallowed hard. Of course. I'll text you the address. When Rebecca arrived at my door 40 minutes later, she looked like someone who had held herself together for far too long. Her shoulders were stiff, her eyes red but dry, her breathing deep and controlled, like she had practiced not breaking. Thomas, she said quietly, stepping inside. I wasn't sure if coming here was the right thing, but I didn't know who else would understand. You made the right choice, I said, gently closing the door behind her. She took in my living room with a long, slow glance. Family photos, the couch Lauren used to curl up on, the blanket she loved tucked neatly under the coffee table. A life built for two. A life already cracked. I had suspicions, Rebecca admitted as she sank onto the edge of the sofa. Late nights, he said, were work, messages he cleared before I could see them, but I kept telling myself I was imagining it. That maybe I was overthinking. You weren't, I said quietly, and neither was I. Her eyes softened in painful understanding. I'm sorry you're going through this. No, I replied. I'm sorry you are. A heavy silence settled between us. Two betrayed people sitting in the ruins of the truth, breathing the same heavy air. But there was also something grounding about her presence. She wasn't hysterical, or vengeful, or collapsing. She was steady, even in her heartbreak. Can I ask, she began, voice trembling, how long do you think it's been going on? I let out a slow exhale. I don't know, but I think longer than I want to imagine. She closed her eyes, and one tear finally escaped. Only one, falling silently down her cheek. She wiped it quickly, embarrassed. You don't have to hide that, I said softly. Rebecca looked at me, really looked, and nodded. Thank you. We talked for almost an hour, about the signs we ignored, the changes we sensed, the moments that made our stomachs twist, the way their excitement had grown the moment we stopped demanding more from them. Do you think they're together right now? She finally asked. I didn't want to answer, but lying felt crueler than truth. Yes, I said quietly. I do. She inhaled sharply, her hands tightening on her lap. They threw everything away. For what? A weekend thrill. For selfishness, I said. For attention. For something they didn't want to build, just borrow. Rebecca nodded slowly. It hurts, but it also makes things clearer. Her gaze drifted to the framed photo of Lauren and me on the mantel, smiling with the kind of hope you can't fake. You really loved her, she murmured. I still do, I admitted. But love isn't supposed to make you feel disposable. Rebecca's expression softened, sad, warm, understanding. No, it's not. She hesitated, then added, so, what now? For us. For everything. I leaned back, my breath steadying in my chest. I'm done being quiet, I said. I'm done being the one who waits for explanations while they make memories behind my back. Rebecca nodded. I'm done letting Marcus pretend he's the victim in this marriage. The shift was subtle, but powerful. Two people who walked into that room broken were no longer just broken. We were aligned. We need a plan, I said. Rebecca gave a bitter little laugh. I've never thought about revenge before. Neither have I admitted. But they earned it. She looked at me with a seriousness that surprised me. Whatever we do, I don't want yelling, or chaos, or anything that gives them the satisfaction of thinking they made us lose control. Agreed, I said. We stay calm. We stay smart. A moment passed, quiet but loaded with intention. Then I spoke the thought that had been forming in the back of my mind ever since she walked into the house. When they come back, I said slowly, let's make sure they walk into something they never saw coming. Rebecca lifted her eyes. A spark, small but sharp, flickered there. I'm listening, she said. And, just like that, the betrayal that shattered us began shaping something new. Rebecca and I spent the next morning in the quiet tension of two people who had finally stopped pretending. Neither of us raised our voice. Neither of us spiraled. We simply sat at my dining table, coffee steaming between us, planning the moment our spouses would walk straight into the truth. I don't want to confront them in a shouting match, Rebecca said, tapping her finger lightly on her mug. People like Marcus, yelling would just make him feel justified. And Lauren, I added. She'd twisted into a guilt trip. She always did when she wanted to avoid accountability. Rebecca nodded. So we corner them with calm. With facts. With a situation they can't spin or escape. A strange strength spread through my chest. Not anger anymore, but clarity. The kind of clarity you feel when pain stops blinding you and starts sharpening you. We weren't plotting revenge for revenge's sake. We were reclaiming the dignity they thought they could quietly take from us. So, Rebecca said slowly, they get back Sunday night? Lauren told me Sunday, I replied. Though clearly, that means nothing. It means something to us, Rebecca said. We'll be waiting. The plan was simple, not dramatic, not explosive, just undeniable. Rebecca would be sitting beside me on the couch, calm, composed, unshaken. Every photo, every message, every timestamp, laid neatly on the coffee table. Two betrayed spouses side by side, and two cheaters forced to see what they had done not in secret, but in silence. Rebecca looked at the evidence spread across the table. Lauren leaning into Marcus, Marcus touching her waist, the rooftop photograph that changed everything. They look so smug, Rebecca whispered, staring at a picture of them laughing together. Like everything in their lives is permission. I exhaled slowly, because we made things too easy for them. We trusted too blindly. Her eyes flicked toward me. Trust shouldn't be a weakness. It wasn't, I said. They just didn't deserve it. Rebecca swallowed hard, and, for a second, her composure cracked. But only a second. She inhaled deeply and straightened her shoulders. We're not letting them walk back into comfort, she said. Not after what they did. That afternoon, Rebecca stayed to help prepare the house. Not to stage drama, just to remove the familiarity Lauren expected. I folded away the blanket she loved. I moved the framed photos into a drawer. The house didn't feel like a home anymore. It felt like a place where truth needed to happen. Rebecca watched quietly as I placed the evidence on the table. You're handling this better than most people would, she said softly. I shook my head. I'm just tired. Too tired to fall apart. She nodded. I feel the same. For a while, we talked. Not about revenge, not about our spouses, but about life. About jobs, routines, childhood memories, favorite restaurants. Normal things that helped anchor us. I used to imagine growing old with Marcus, she admitted quietly. Road trips, holidays, adoption maybe, real things. Not whatever this is. Her voice didn't break, but her eyes did, just for a moment. I leaned back in my chair. I pictured a future with Lauren too. Not perfect, but honest. Rebecca gave a sad smile. Funny how we planned futures with people who didn't even plan the next weekend with us. A silence settled, soft, almost tender. Being around someone who understood your pain, without you needing to explain, it was strangely comforting. By early evening, the sun began sinking, casting long shadows across the living room. My chest tightened as the hours ticked closer to their arrival. Rebecca noticed. "You okay?" I nodded, though part of me felt like I was holding my breath. "Whatever happens tonight," she said gently, "you're not facing it alone." Something in my chest loosened just a little. "Thank you. We're in this together," she said. Two people who deserve loyalty and got lies. At 7:40 p.m., my phone buzzed. A message from Lauren. Just landed. Be home in 30. My pulse quickened, but my mind stayed strangely calm. Rebecca looked at me. "It's time." We both took our seats on the couch, together, side by side, exactly where they least expected us. The house was silent. The lights were soft. The evidence lay in perfect order on the coffee table. Everything was ready. The sound of the key in the door was faint at first, then clearer. My breath slowed. Rebecca straightened her spine. My fingers laced together firmly in my lap. The door opened. Lauren stepped in, suitcase rolling behind her, sunglasses perched lazily on her head, looking sun-kissed and relaxed, as if she hadn't disappeared for days. Her smile froze instantly, because Rebecca was the first person she saw. Not me. Not a welcome home. Not the quiet, forgiving husband she was expecting to manipulate. Instead, the wife of the man she'd been sneaking around with. Lauren's lips parted, her face draining of color. "Thomas. What is she doing here?" Before I could respond, another voice sounded from outside. "Marcus." His footsteps approached behind her, casual, unaware, confident. "Babe, did you leave your water bottle?" He stepped inside mid-sentence. His eyes landed on Rebecca. His entire body went rigid. The room changed temperature. Lauren swallowed, shaking. "Thomas, I can explain." "No," I said calmly, rising to my feet. "You're going to listen." Marcus's throat bobbed, but he said nothing. Rebecca's voice was steady, beautifully steady. "We know," she said. "Everything." Lauren staggered back a step. This isn't what it looks like." Marcus cut her off, choking on his own panic. "Rebecca, please." Rebecca didn't even flinch. She gestured toward the table. "Your trip," she said quietly. "Let's talk about that." And suddenly, the power wasn't in their lies anymore. It was in our truth. Lauren's breathing grew shallow as her eyes darted across the evidence spread neatly on the table. Every photo, every shady timestamp, every memory she thought she'd buried under excuses and girls' trip lies. Marcus didn't move. He stood frozen in the doorway, like he'd been caught stepping into a life he shouldn't have touched. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't rage. I didn't give them the meltdown they expected. Calm was a far sharper weapon. "Sit," I said quietly. Lauren lowered herself onto the arm of a chair, trembling. Marcus remained standing, his shoulders caving inward like the weight of what he'd done suddenly pressed down on him. Rebecca was the first to speak. "You both fooled us for how long?" Her voice didn't waver. "How many days, nights, moments did you share while we sat at home, trusting you?" Marcus swallowed. "Rebecca, it wasn't." "Don't lie," she said. "Not tonight. Not anymore." Lauren looked at me, tears gathering in her eyes. "Thomas, I never meant for this to happen. I wasn't happy things between us changed. I just needed space. Space." I repeated softly. "You wanted space, so you disappeared for 4 days with another man." Her voice cracked. "I messed up. I know I did. But I can fix this." "No," I said. "You don't get to decide that anymore." For a moment, silence pressed against the walls, thick and suffocating. Lauren finally broke it with a sob that sounded too practiced, too late, too small. "You're my husband," she whispered. "Don't throw everything away." I leaned forward. "Lauren, you threw it away." Her tears spilled, but they didn't move me. Something inside me had been severed long before she walked through that door. "I was loyal to you," I said. "I trusted you. I changed parts of my life to make you feel loved, secure, supported, and you paid me back with secrecy." She covered her mouth with her hand, shaking, but Rebecca wasn't finished. "And you," she said, turning to Marcus. You stood in front of our families, made promises you never intended to keep, and then went behind my back with someone else's spouse. Do you understand what you destroyed? Marcus bowed his head. I'm sorry. I don't know what I was thinking. It doesn't matter now, Rebecca said. Because I'm done. Lauren's eyes widened. Rebecca, wait. No, she said sharply. I came here to see the truth. I saw it. And when I walk out that door tonight, I'm walking into a life without him. Marcus stepped toward her. Please. Don't, she said firmly. Save your apologies for someone else. She looked at me then, and I felt a strange, steady solidarity pass between us. Two betrayed hearts. Two people who deserve more. I reached into the drawer beside me and pulled out an envelope, set on the table. Lauren stared at it like it was a ticking clock. What is that? Divorce papers, I said. Signed. Final. I'm done living in a story where I'm the only one trying. Her whole body deflated. Thomas, please, she whispered. I love you. I shook my head. You love the version of me who didn't know the truth. Her crying grew louder, but Rebecca stood, quiet, dignified, steady. We should go, she said to me softly. I nodded. I didn't want to watch Lauren crumble. Not because she didn't deserve consequences, she did. But because the man I once was still existed somewhere in me, and I didn't want to give him the chance to hesitate. I turned to her one last time. You blocked me for days, I said quietly. But today, I'm the one choosing silence. Lauren reached out, but I stepped back. Rebecca and I walked to the door together. She paused beside me, drawing one slow breath before facing her own ending. We didn't look back. When the door closed behind us, it wasn't an escape. It was freedom.